Previously in the Wisteria, Wand and Sword, after accepting the challenge from Julius, Will took part in the Grand Magic Festival for a fight. There, with a big fireworks, the Grand Magic Festival started, and Julius and Will took part in the Crown Attack game. For it they needed total 21,000 credit points of the team. So Colette had invited Shaun to join their team, and together they started the competition. The game was simple. All teams had to overcome trials and traps and approach the stadium to get hold of the crown first, and Will shocked everyone with his unique display of power. Because everyone knew him as a weak little bookworm, but turns out he was strong as a golem. But in the way when they came across Julius, Shaun changed his mind and started attacking Will. Colette tried to intervene, but Julius stopped her from jumping between them. So now, as the story continues, the impact of Shaun's attack was just so damn great that it wiped out the forest behind Will, and now Shaun disarmed Will with his attack, but he told Will to pick up the sword for a fair fight. And thus, the fight between these two starts from here. But first of all, we go back in time when everyone bullied Will and only Shaun stood up and burned the mocking remark on his back. Will looked dull, so Shaun offered Will to become his lackey so others won't bully him, but Will had no interest in it and told Shaun to leave him be. Will was that much determined with his goal and didn't want any distraction, and ever since that day Shaun started to resent Will, and now he wants to prove that he's strong. After the fight with Evil Sentinel, Shaun had trained himself for this, and Will was only roaming around dodging his attacks. That's why Shaun tells Will to man up and attack. But Will refused because they are on the same team. Besides, he has his promise to keep, so he can't fight him right now. Yet Shaun was bent on making Will fight him. That was one heck of surprise because Will and his team were in lead all this time, but now they are fighting each other. And Edward seemed happy because now it will become harder for them to get recruited by scouts because of this foul team play, and Edward's words seem to be getting true. All the scouts have started to show dissatisfaction on Shaun, but Rosti believed Will would overcome this as well, and their Iris came in to sit with Rosti. It's as if they both knew each other. But aside from that, Iris was rooting for Will, which was a surprise, so Iris tells Rosti that she wasn't that interested in Will in the beginning, but now she's also head over heels for him. Rosti also likes Will and his reaction is seriously suspicious to be called a friend. Well, let's just see what's happening on the other side. Colette was occupied with Julius and his attacks, and she wasn't attacking him. She kept defending the attacks and accidentally stepped onto one of the dark magic traps. After that, Julius appears on each and every zone in front of every team of the Crown Attack, a practically impossible feat. He was also against Linder, and Linder knew Julius was here to show his might, but Linder saw it was his trick and destroyed his ice miniature in a sweep attack. But Linder himself was impressed by Julius and his new clone magic, and with this, Linder was safe in the game for the time being. But the elf faction were also keeping an eye and saw Linder as average from their race. That is why Philvis wanted to leave, because this party-like setting is a bother for an introvert like her. But Lafia refuses to let her go because they still have to report to Eleanor about this, and away from there. Even Science friends were thinking about why he took action against Will when they were in a clear lead. It shows just how much he hates Will, and Will was trying to see why Shaun is so fixed on him. For that, we go back into the past again. Everyone always kept bullying Will because he was magic-less, bothering him in many different ways, and at that time, only Shaun came to him with a helping hand, but he didn't accept it and ignored him because Will was focused in only one thing, to meet Elfie, by becoming Magia Vander. And that was the time Shaun's hatred began to grow for Will. There he summoned a guardian to attack Will, and somehow Will dodged its attack and took the chance to attack. Guardians basically work as a distraction for the chanter to complete the spell. But this guardian was on offensive and Shaun did the same, and Will somehow endured the attack head-on with the magic gauntlet. Both of them were exhausted and no one could believe what they just saw. Shaun summoned a magic guardian and showed such precise magic control. That's why the Flame Emperor's scout took notice of Shaun. At first, Holland thought Shaun was just an average kid, but some scenarios always make people grow beyond their limits, and that is what happened with Shaun here. That's why Holland decides to report Flame Emperor about Shaun and that they might recruit him. As for the fight, time was coming to an ugly end, and Shaun wanted Will to fight him like he fought against Evil Sentinel, but Will never wanted this in the first place. Shaun couldn't handle himself and spoke up that he feels humiliated because, after all the bullying, Will doesn't hate him. Will clears up that he does and he's mad, but right now isn't the time because he wants to beat Julius, and it adds fuel to the fire. And Shaun burst out that Will has always ignored him, a no talent like him, which makes him go crazy because Xian just wants to be acknowledged. That is why Xian wants to prove himself and will now understood he was the same. That is why he picked up the sword to finally get serious in the fight. Xian didn't want anything else. That is why he also gathered every ounce of his powers to go forward. It will swiftly dodged all the attacks and destroyed the Guardian's core to reach Xian. Both were on the verge of ending things down, but a stone pillar of Colette blocked both of this knuckleheads. She quickly got here after beating Julius, after which he ran off. But Xian got embarrassed seeing Colette in half-ripped clothes. Now that's a gentleman for you. But then she told Will to move on ahead to settle the score with Julius. And she doesn't want Xian meddling in again, but first Will covers her up, which made her blush. After that, he left. And Julius and his squad entered the arena and they were just about to win the game, but not that fast. Will drops in to finally start the real fight to make Julius pay, and once again, the episode ends before the real fight. Well, we'll find out that in another episode, so please leave a comment if you want to see more of this anime. Until then, take care.